Truck driver rescues boy on highway, never imagining it was his own son missing for 5 years. Michael Anderson had been driving for over 20 hours when he spotted a small figure on the shoulder of Interstate 95. The truck's headlights illuminated a boy who couldn't have been more than 8 years old, clutching a torn teddy bear and crying uncontrollably. He stopped the truck immediately. As he stepped out of the cab, the boy lifted his tear-streaked face. Michael felt something strange, as if his heart had leaped for no reason. The boy said he was looking for his father and showed a crumpled piece of paper with an old address in Denver. Without a second thought, Michael decided to help the lost child, never imagining the address would lead to a house he knew all too. "Well, hey little one, what are you doing out here alone?" And Michael crouched down to the boy's level. I ran away," the boy answered between sobs. "Aunt Margaret said we were moving again, but I don't want to. I want to find my dad." "And where is this Aunt Margaret now?" "I don't know. I snuck out when she went to the store. I hitched a ride with a man to here, but he left me and drove off." Michael's chest tightened. A child that young alone on the highway was extremely dangerous. He looked at the paper the boy was holding. The address was in Parkside Heights, a neighborhood he knew like the back of his hand. "Come on, let's get in the truck. It's cold out here and you need to warm up. What's your name?" "Ethan," the boy replied, still clutching his teddy bear tightly. The name made Michael pause for a second. His son's name had also been Ethan, but it was just a coincidence. It had to be. Inside the truck, Michael turned on the heater and offered the boy a sandwich he had saved. The child ate hungrily, clearly starving. "How long have you been on the road, Ethan?" "Since this morning. Aunt Margaret went shopping for our trip. She said we were going to Los Angeles tonight." "And why don't you want to go?" "Because we've already moved 4 times. Every time I make friends, she says we have to leave. I want to stay in one place. I want to find my dad." Michael drove in silence for a few minutes, processing the information. Something about this story didn't add up. "Ethan, do you remember your father?" The boy shook his head. "Aunt Margaret says he left when I was a baby, but I dream about him sometimes. It's weird, huh?" "No, it's not weird at all." "And your mother?" Ethan lowered his head. "I don't have a mom. Aunt Margaret says she went to live with the angels." Michael swallowed hard. The story was getting more complicated by the minute. "And this address, where did you get it?" "I found it in an old box of Aunt Margaret's. There were pictures too, but she took them back. I only managed to keep the paper." As they drove down the dark highway, Ethan began humming softly. The melody nearly made Michael lose control. Toe of the Wheel. It was a song he used to sing to his son at bedtime, a lullaby his grandmother had taught him, one very few people knew. "Where did you learn that song?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "I don't know. I've always known it. Aunt Margaret says I used to sing it when I was really little." Michael's hands trembled. No, it couldn't be. His Ethan had gone missing 5 years ago. The police had searched for months. He and his wife had done everything. Their marriage hadn't survived the tragedy. It was impossible that after all. This time... "Ethan, how old are you?" 8. "I'll be 9 next month." The age matched. Michael took a deep breath. He was letting his emotions take over. He needed to stay rational. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us, who are just starting out. Now, continuing. They arrived at the address around 2 in the morning. The house looked different, with fresh paint and a garden that hadn't been there before. Michael parked the truck and got out with Ethan. "Is this it?" the boy asked, eyeing the house curiously. "Yes, but it looks like new people live here." A light turned on in the house next door. An elderly woman appeared at the window. "Michael Anderson, is that really you?" It was Mrs. Wilson, his old neighbor. Michael waved. "Hi, Mrs. Wilson. Sorry for the late hour." The woman stepped outside wearing a robe over her nightgown. When she saw Ethan, her face went pale. "Oh, my lord," she whispered. "It can't be." "What's wrong, Mrs. Wilson?" She moved closer, her eyes fixed on the boy. "This child, he's... Michael, where did you find this boy?" "I found him on the road. He was lost and had this address." Mrs. Wilson began to cry. "Michael, my dear, don't you remember? This was your home. You lived here with Jennifer and little Ethan until... Until what? Ethan asked, startled by her reaction. Michael felt his legs weaken. Buried memories flashed back. The house, Jennifer, his son, the playground, the despair, the search, the end of everything. I need to sit down, he said, leaning against the wall. Come, let's go inside, Mrs. Wilson offered. It's cold out here. Inside Mrs. Wilson's kitchen, the situation grew even more surreal. She made tea while Ethan, exhausted, dozed on the living room couch. Michael, what happened to you after you left? You vanished. Jennifer looked for you for months before... Before what? She moved inland, said she couldn't bear living with the memories anymore. You had a breakdown, don't you remember? After Ethan disappeared, you changed. Michael rubbed his face. The memories were like shards of glass, cutting him from the inside. I remember bits and pieces. The road, the truck, nothing else mattered. And now you show up with this boy, who looks just like your son. Michael, are you sure that... I don't know anything else, Mrs. Wilson. I found him on the road. It could be a coincidence. Coincidence? He was singing your grandmother's song. How many people do you know who remember that tune? Ethan appeared in the kitchen doorway, rubbing his eyes. Uncle Michael, I had a bad dream. Come here, kiddo, Michael called. The boy walked over and without hesitation climbed into Michael's lap. The man felt a lump in his throat. The weight, the scent, the way the boy settled in. It all felt too familiar. Ethan, do you remember anything from when you were really little? Sometimes I dream about a playground. There's a blue slide and swings, and there's always a man pushing me on the swing, but I never see his face. Michael and Mrs. Wilson exchanged glances. The playground where Ethan had disappeared had a blue slide. Anything else? Aunt Margaret doesn't like it when I talk. About the dreams. She says I'm making things up. Ethan, is this Aunt Margaret really your family? The boy shrugged. She's always taken care of me, but sometimes I hear her crying at night, looking at pictures. Once I saw one. It was a photo of another boy. Michael's phone rang. It was his sister, Sarah. He'd texted her earlier out of habit, saying where he was. They kept in touch sporadically. Michael, what's this about you being in Denver? You said you'd never go back there. Sarah, it's complicated. I need you to come here. Now? It's 3 a.m. Please, it's important. What's going on? Are you okay? Michael looked down at Ethan, who had fallen asleep in his arms again. I found a boy on the road. Sarah, he might be Ethan. Silence on the other end. Michael, don't do this to yourself. We've been through this. Ethan is gone. You have to accept that. You don't understand. He's the right age. He knows Grandma's song. He dreams about the playground. Sarah, what if... I'm leaving now. Don't go anywhere. While they waited, Mrs. Wilson shared more about the days after the disappearance. It was at the park playground, right? You'd gone to buy ice cream. When you came back, he wasn't there anymore. The whole town searched. It was horrible. I remember now, Michael said, his voice breaking. I blame myself so much. If I hadn't left, it wasn't your fault, my son. These things happen. Jennifer never forgave me. She was grieving too, both of you were. Ethan stirred in Michael's lap, murmuring something in his sleep. Michael couldn't stop studying the boy's face. The features were familiar, but 5 years was a long time. A child changes so much. Sarah arrived an hour later, driving like crazy from Boulder. When she walked into the house and saw Ethan sleeping, she froze in the doorway. My God, was all she could say. Do you think... Sarah approached slowly, studying the boy. Michael, he looks just like Ethan, but that doesn't mean... I know, but what if it is him? And this aunt story, who is she? Where is she? I don't know. He ran away because she was taking him to Los Angeles today. We need to call the police. No! Ethan woke up frightened. Please don't. Aunt Margaret always says if the police catch me, they'll take me to a bad place. Sarah knelt beside the boy. Hi, sweetheart, I'm Sarah. You don't have to be afraid. No one's taking you anywhere. Ethan looked at her warily, then at Michael. Promise? I promise, Michael said. But we need to understand what's going on. This Aunt Margaret, what's her full name? Margaret Wilson. At least, that's what's on the school papers. And where did you live? In Atlantic City? But before that, it was Niagara Falls. And before that, Charlotte. We move a lot. Sarah grabbed her phone. I'm calling Thompson. Remember him? He became a private investigator after leaving the police. He can help discreetly. While Sarah made the call, Michael kept talking to Ethan. Do you like Aunt Margaret? Yeah, she takes good care of me, makes good food, helps with homework. But what? She gets too sad sometimes, and she's scared of everything. Won't let me play outside. Won't let me have real friends. Says it's dangerous. What about school? Are you enrolled? Yeah, but always under a different name. This time it was Ethan Miller, before that Ethan Taylor. Michael and Mrs. Wilson exchanged worried glances. This wasn't normal. Sarah returned. Thompson's coming over in the morning. Said not to do anything until he gets here. And the boy? He stays here. Where else would he go? Ethan began to cry softly. I want Aunt Margaret. She must be worried. Michael hugged the boy. Easy, little one. We'll figure this out. Do you have her phone number? No, she never gave it to me, said it was for my safety. The puzzle pieces kept getting stranger. A woman who moved constantly, used fake names, kept a child isolated, yet seemed to care for him well. Ethan, do you have any documents? Birth certificate? Aunt Margaret keeps all that. Never shows me. Dawn was breaking when Ethan, exhausted, finally fell into a deep sleep in Mrs. Wilson's guest room. Michael sat by the bed, unable to look away. You need to rest too, Sarah said from the doorway. I can't. What if he wakes up and doesn't see me? What if he runs? Michael, I know what you're going to say. That I shouldn't get my hopes up. But Sarah, what if it's him? What if my son's been alive all this time? Sarah sat beside her brother. Then we'll find out, but you have to be ready for any answer. 5 years, Sarah. 5 years searching, grieving, blaming myself. I lost everything. Jennifer, the house, my sanity. If he's been alive all this time, it wasn't your fault. Not then. Not now. Michael picked up the teddy bear Ethan wouldn't let go of. It was old, worn, patched up many times. There was something familiar about it too. But maybe it was just his mind playing tricks on him. Investigator Thompson arrived at 8 in the morning. He was a middle-aged man with a calm, professional demeanor. Michael knew him from the original. Investigation. Michael, it's been a while. I'm sorry we're meeting again under these circumstances. Thank you for coming, Thompson. Sarah explained the situation to me. It's very unusual. Can I talk to the boy? Ethan had woken up and eaten breakfast. He was calmer now, but still uneasy. Thompson spoke to him gently, asking questions without pressuring him. Ethan, do you remember your birthday? July 15th. And where were you born? Aunt Margaret says it was in Los Angeles, but I'm not sure. Why aren't you sure? Because once I saw a paper that said Denver, but when I asked, she said I'd read it wrong. Thompson took notes. And this Aunt Margaret, does she have family? Friends? No, it's just the two of us. She says her family lives far away. Have you ever been to the doctor? Had vaccines? Yes, but always in a different city. Aunt Margaret is afraid of hospitals. After talking with Ethan, Thompson called Michael and Sarah aside to speak privately. The situation is really suspicious. A woman who keeps moving cities with a child using fake names, avoiding connections. This has all the signs of someone hiding something. Kidnapping? Sarah asked. Possibly. But the fact that she takes good care of him, keeps him in school, takes him to the doctor. It's not the usual pattern. It seems more like someone running from something or protecting the child from something. What do we do now? First, we need to locate this Margaret Wilson. Second, run a DNA test to confirm if the boy is really your son. Third, involve the authorities the right way. Ethan is afraid of the police, Michael reminded him. Understandable. If this woman spent 5 years telling him the police would take him away. Let's take it slow. Thompson started making calls, using his contacts to track down Margaret Wilson. Meanwhile, Ethan had found an old photo album at Mrs. Wilson's house. Look, Uncle Michael, this playground is just like the one in my dream. Michael walked over. It was an album Mrs. Wilson kept with pictures of the neighborhood. There was the playground, the blue slide, the swings. You recognize it? I think so. It's confusing. Feels like I've been there, but I don't remember when. Mrs. Wilson was emotional. I have more photos from when you all lived here. She brought out a box with several photographs. Michael picked up one where he appeared with Jennifer and little Ethan, then 3 years old. Is that you? Ethan asked, pointing at Michael in the photo. Yes, a long time ago. And that baby? Michael hesitated. That's my son. Ethan studied the photo for a long time. He looks like me, he finally said. He really does, Michael agreed, his heart tight. What happened to him? He disappeared 5 years ago. Ethan fell silent, processing the information. Then something seemed to click in his young mind. Is that why you looked sad when you saw me? What do you mean? When you got out of the truck, you looked at me like you were about to cry. Was it because of him? Michael couldn't answer. Sarah stepped in. Ethan, do you want to see the playground? It's still there. Can I? Of course, let's all go. The playground had been renovated, but the basic structure was the same. Ethan ran straight to the blue slide, as if he knew exactly where to go. I know this place, he shouted from the top of the slide. I remember. Michael felt his legs tremble. What do you remember? I don't know exactly. It's like an old movie in my head. Someone pushing me on the swing. A woman with long hair. A man who used to toss me up in the air. Anything else? Ethan slid down the slide and went to the swings. He sat on one and closed his eyes. There's a song, the same one I sang in the truck, and there's ice cream. Someone always bought me ice cream. Michael had to sit on a bench. His memories and the boys intertwined in a way that was impossible to ignore. Thompson called with news. I found records of Margaret Wilson in Atlantic City, retired teacher, 58 years old. But here's the interesting part. She had a son who died 5 years ago. An accident. The age would match Ethan's. Oh my God, Sarah murmured. There's more. The neighbors say she had a breakdown after the loss, was hospitalized for months. When she got out, her behavior changed. Then, about 5 years ago, she showed up with a child, said it was her nephew. The timeline fits, Michael said, his voice tense. Ethan disappeared 5 years ago. Her son died 5 years ago. We need to find her. She might be desperate if the boy ran away. Could do something drastic. As if summoned, a woman appeared at the entrance of the playground. She was thin, her graying hair tied in a bun, her eyes red from crying. When she saw Ethan, she ran toward him. Ethan, oh my God, you're okay. The boy hid behind Michael. Aunt Margaret, I was frantic. Why did you run away? You know how dangerous it is. Margaret tried to get closer, but Michael stepped between her and the boy. Mom, I think we should talk. Margaret looked at Michael and her face grew even paler. No, it can't be. Do you know me? Margaret began to tremble. She looked at Ethan, at Michael, at the playground around them. I need to take Ethan home. He's my nephew. I have custody. Can we see the documents? Thompson stepped forward. Who are you? This is none of your business. Mrs. Wilson, please. No one wants trouble. We just want to understand the situation. Margaret started to cry. You don't understand. I took care of him 5 years. I gave him love, an education, everything. He's my boy. Aunt Margaret. Ethan stepped out from behind Michael. Why do we always move cities? Why can't I have friends? To protect you, my love. The world is dangerous. Protect me from what? Margaret looked at Michael again, and something in her gaze shattered. From being found, she whispered. The silence that followed was heavy. Thompson was the first to speak. Mrs. Wilson, I think it's best we go somewhere more private to talk. No, if I go, you'll take him from me. No one's taking anyone from anyone right now, but we need to clear things up for Ethan's sake. Ethan moved closer to Margaret. Auntie, I don't want you to be sad, but I need to know the truth. Who's my real dad? Margaret collapsed, sitting on the playground floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I just wanted a child again. My Matthew was gone. I couldn't take it anymore. And then I saw you, alone, crying, looking for your dad. You were so small, so helpless. Michael felt the world spin. You took him. I was going to take him to the police, I swear. But then you hugged me, called me Mommy. It had been months since anyone called me Mom. I couldn't help it. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing, Sarah called emergency services while Thompson tried to calm the situation. Margaret was in shock, rocking back and forth, murmuring her late son's name. Ethan was confused and scared, clinging to Michael. Uncle, what is she saying? I don't understand. Michael knelt in front of the boy. Ethan, it seems Aunt Margaret found you when you were little and decided to take care of you. But she said I called her Mom. I don't remember that. You were very little. It's normal not to remember. So my real parents? Where are they? Michael Anderson couldn't answer. How do you tell a child you might be the father he's been searching for? How do you process 5 years of pain and now this possibility? The ambulance arrived to tend to Margaret, who was in crisis. Before being taken away, she grabbed Thompson's hand. I have everything, the real documents, the photos, everything. It's in my apartment in Atlantic City. I kept it all. I always knew that one day I'd have to give it back. Where exactly? In the bedroom closet. There's a black suitcase. It's all there. The real birth certificate, his baby photos, even the teddy bear, Ethan heard. What teddy bear? The one you were carrying the day I found you. I sewed it up, took care of it all these years. Ethan looked at the teddy bear in his hands. This one? That's the one. You wouldn't let go of it for anything. The ambulance left with Margaret, escorted by the police. Thompson arranged for the documents to be retrieved from Atlantic City. Meanwhile, they took Ethan back to Mrs. Wilson's house. The boy was quiet, processing everything. Uncle Michael, do you think Aunt Margaret is bad? I don't think she's bad, Ethan. I think she was very sad and made a wrong decision. But she took care of you all these years. She was always good to me, made chocolate cake on my birthday, told stories, took me to see the ocean. That shows she loves you in her own way. But she lied. Yes, she lied. Sometimes adults do wrong things even when they mean to do right. Sarah came back from the kitchen with hot chocolate. How are you feeling, sweetheart? Confused. Do I have real parents somewhere? Michael and Sarah exchanged glances. Ethan, Sarah began gently, remember when Michael showed you the photo of his son who disappeared? I remember, the boy who looked like me. What if you were that boy? Ethan's eyes widened. But how? The dates match, the age, the place, and you know things only that boy would know. Ethan looked at Michael. Do you think you're my dad? Michael had tears in his eyes. I don't know, little one, but my heart says yes. And my mum. We separated after Ethan disappeared. She lives in the countryside now. Didn't she want to look for me? She did, Ethan. We both looked so hard, but after years, we lost hope. Ethan stayed silent for a long time. Then slowly he moved closer to Michael and touched his face. You have sad eyes. Aunt Margaret did too. Losing someone you love hurts a lot. But if you found me again, you don't have to be sad anymore, right? Michael hugged the boy, no longer able to hold back his tears. Thompson returned in the late afternoon with a box of documents. It's incredible. She kept absolutely everything. The original birth certificate, photos, even a diary where she documented every day of the last 5 years. What does the birth certificate say? Ethan Michael Anderson, born July 15th in Denver. Parents, Michael Anderson and Jennifer Davis. Anderson, Michael had to sit down. It was real. After 5 years, his son was here. There's more, Thompson continued. Her diary. It's touching and disturbing at the same time. She details how she found Ethan at the playground, how she fought the urge to return him, how she justified it to herself, and also how she cared for him all these years. Sarah flipped through the diary. Listen to this. Ethan had a fever today. I stayed up all night taking care of him. It reminded me so much of my Matthew. I know what I did was wrong, but how can I return him now? He calls Me aunt trusts me. And his parents? Are they still looking for him? Would it be better for him to stay with me? She was tormented, Michael observed. There are entries about you too, Michael. She followed the news. I knew about your breakdown, the separation. You even thought about giving Ethan back several times, but always changed your mind. Ethan listened quietly. Finally, he asked, "Can I see her again?" "Oh, you want to?" Michael was surprised. "She was my mom for 5 years, not really, but she was. I can't just forget." The maturity of the 8-year-old boy stunned everyone. "Let's see what we can do," Thompson said. "She'll have to answer legally for what she did, but given the context, the history of mental issues, the fact that she took good care of the child, she might be able to reach a deal." "And now?" Sarah asked. "We need to tell Jennifer." Michael froze. Jennifer? How could he tell his ex-wife their son was alive? "I'll call her." "Want me to talk?" Sarah offered. "No. It has to be me." Michael went to the backyard to make the call. Jennifer answered on the 3rd ring. "Michael? You haven't called in years. What's wrong?" "Jennifer, you need to sit down." "What happened? Are you okay?" "I'm in Denver." "Jennifer, I found Ethan." Silence. "Michael, no, please. Don't do this. You know he's gone. He's alive, Jennifer. He's here with me. A woman. She found him the day he disappeared and raised him all these years." The sound of crying on the other end. "Are you sure? Are you sure it's him? The documents confirm it. And he remembers things. The playground, Grandma's song. Jennifer, our boy is alive. I'm coming there now. Drive carefully. He's okay. He's confused, but he's okay." When Michael went back inside, he found Ethan showing Mrs. Wilson how to make paper airplanes. "Aunt Margaret taught me. She said paper airplanes can carry our wishes far away." "And what did you wish for?" Mrs. Wilson asked. "To have a real family, one that didn't have to run away all the time." Michael approached. "Ethan, your mum is coming here." The boy stopped folding the paper. "My real mum?" "Yes." "Will she like me?" "She never stopped loving you, not for a second." "But I don't remember her." "That's okay. You'll have time to get to know each other again." Ethan finished the little airplane and went to the window. "Can I make a wish?" "Of course." The boy closed his eyes, whispered something to the airplane, and tossed it out the window. The paper flew gracefully before landing in the garden. "What did you wish for?" Sarah asked. "That everyone could be happy. Aunt Margaret, you, my mum, everyone." Night fell, and with it came the rain. Ethan helped Mrs. Wilson prepare dinner, showing cooking skills Margaret had taught him. "Aunt Margaret said cooking with love makes food taste better." "She's right," Mrs. Wilson agreed. During dinner, Ethan asked questions about his life before he disappeared. "What was I like as a baby?" Michael smiled. "You were terrible. You didn't sleep through the night. Your mum and I took turns rocking you. And when I learned to walk? At 11 months. You fell more than you walked at first, but you were determined. You'd get up and try again. Aunt Margaret said I was always stubborn." "That you got from your mum," Michael laughed. The mood grew lighter. Ethan began to relax, even cracking jokes. But tension returned when headlights lit up the front of the house. "That must be her," Michael said. Ethan grabbed Michael's hand. "What if she doesn't like me now? I've changed. I'm not a baby anymore." "Ethan, look at me. Your mum loves you. That never changed." The door opened and Jennifer walked in. She was thinner, her hair shorter, her face marked by 5 years of grief. But when she saw Ethan, her eyes filled with life. "My God, it's really you." Ethan hid partly behind Michael, shy. "Hi," he said softly. Jennifer knelt on the floor, tears streaming down her face. "Hi, my love. You've gotten so big." "Are you my mum?" "I am. You may not remember me, but I remember every detail about you." Jennifer pulled a photo from her pocket. "Look, I've kept this with me every day." It was a picture of Ethan at 3 years old, smiling at the beach. "Is that me?" "Yes, it was our last trip before you disappeared." Ethan stepped closer. "You have pretty eyes. They're green like mine." Jennifer laughed through her tears. They are. You got a lot from me, including the stubbornness, as your father must have told you. The reunion was delicate. Ethan allowed a hug but was still processing everything. Jennifer had to hold back from overwhelming her son with 5 years' worth of desperation. Where were you living? Ethan asked. In Boulder, in a house with a big yard. I always thought you'd come back one day and I wanted space for you to play. Does it have a swing? Not yet, but we can put one in. The conversation flowed, slowly. Jennifer and Michael exchanged glances over Ethan's head, 5 years of hurt and guilt still there, but set aside for now. Thompson called with updates. Margaret is in the hospital, under psychiatric observation. The prosecutor is leaning toward considering mitigating circumstances. They'll likely recommend treatment instead of prison. What about Ethan? Michael asked. You're the biological parents. Custody is yours, but there'll be oversight. From child services, a psychologist, that sort of thing. Standard procedure. Can he stay with us? Yes, but you'll need to work out the details. Shared custody, those matters. Michael and Jennifer locked eyes. 5 years ago, they couldn't stand being in the same room. Now they had to discuss their son's future. Ethan, Jennifer called, do you understand what's happening? Sort of. You're my real parents. Aunt Margaret raised me, but she wasn't supposed to, so now what? Now we figure it out together. You'll need time to adjust. So will we. Where am I going to live? Michael and Jennifer looked at each other again. We'll work it out, Michael said. What matters is you're safe and loved. Can I choose? We'll talk about everything. No rush. Ethan yawned. The day had been long and emotionally draining. You need sleep, Jennifer said. Where is he staying? In Mrs. Wilson's guest room. Can I put him to bed? Michael nodded. Jennifer went upstairs with Ethan. Through the window, Michael could hear her softly singing the same song from 5 years ago. Sarah approached her brother. How are you? I don't know. Happy, confused, scared, all of it. And Jennifer. We haven't talked about us, just Ethan. You'll have to eventually. I know, but not today. Jennifer came down half an hour later. He's asleep, he was exhausted. Jennifer, we need to talk about how we'll handle this. I know. But Michael, I can't think of anything except that he's alive. Our boy is alive. They sat in the living room, the weight of 5 years between them. I'm sorry, Michael finally said, for everything, for going out to get ice cream, for not being able to cope afterward, for running away. I'm sorry too, for blaming you, for not supporting you, for giving up on us. We did the best we could with the pain we were in. But it wasn't enough. No, it wasn't. Silence settled. What do we do now? Jennifer asked. I don't know, but we have to think of Ethan. He needs stability. I agree. Can we take it slow? Maybe alternate weekends? That could work. We'll see how he adjusts. Michael, the woman who took him, what's she like? Michael told her about Margaret, the diary, how she cared for Ethan. Part of me hates her, Jennifer confessed, but part of me understands if she hadn't taken him that day. We don't know what would have happened. Can he see her again? He wants to. I think it'd be cruel to cut her off completely. She was his mother for 5 years. Mother, Jennifer repeated bitterly. I'm his mother. No, but for him, it's more complicated. The rain continued outside. In the house, 3 adults tried to process the impossible. A lost child had been found. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot for those of us just starting out. Now, continuing. The next morning, Ethan woke up disoriented. For a moment, he didn't know where he was. Then the memories of the previous day came rushing back like a wave. Uncle Michael, he called. Michael, who had slept on the couch, hurried over. I'm here, Ethan, it's okay. It wasn't a dream, you're really my dad? I am. And your mother is here too. Where? Sleeping in the other room. Want some breakfast? Ethan went downstairs with Michael. In the kitchen, they found Jennifer already preparing breakfast. "Good morning, sweetheart," she said with a smile. "Good morning." "Mom?" Jennifer's heart raced at the word. "Yes, Mom, how did you sleep?" "Fine, I dreamed about Aunt Margaret. She was sad." Michael and Jennifer exchanged glances. "Do you want to talk about it?" Michael asked. "She was in a white place, crying. She said she was sorry. She really is. She did something wrong, but she regrets it. When can I see her? Let's see how she's doing first, okay? She needs medical help right now." During breakfast, Ethan watched Jennifer and Michael. "You don't live together?" "No, honey, we separated because of me." "No," they both said at once. "Sometimes," Jennifer explained gently, "when something very sad happens, people can't stay together. But it wasn't your fault." "But if I hadn't disappeared?" "Ethan, look at me." Michael held his son's hands. "What happened wasn't your fault. You were just a baby, and what happened afterward isn't your responsibility either. Are you going to live together again now?" Michael and Jennifer looked at each other, unsure how to answer. "We'll see how things go, all right," Jennifer said. "What matters now is you." Later, they went to the police station for the formal procedures. Ethan had to tell his story to a child psychologist from social services, a kind woman named Dr. Rebecca. "Ethan, can you tell me what it was like living with Aunt Margaret?" "It was good. She took care of me, made food, helped with homework, told stories." "But you moved cities a lot." "Yeah, she said it was for safety, that there were bad people looking for us." "Did you believe her?" "At first, yes, but as I got older, I realized it was strange. That's why I ran away." "That was brave of you. I just wanted a real home, real friends." "And now, how do you feel?" "Confused, happy to find my parents, sad about Aunt Margaret, scared of what's going to happen. It's normal to feel all of that. You've been through a lot." Dr. Rebecca also spoke with Michael and Jennifer. "Ethan is remarkably well adjusted, considering the circumstances. Margaret, despite everything, took good care of him, but he'll need psychological support." "For how long?" Jennifer asked. "Hard to say. Every child reacts differently. But he seems resilient. The fact that he ran away on his own shows he kept a sense of identity." "What about school?" "We'll get records from all the schools he attended. Maintaining educational continuity will be important." "Where should he live?" Michael asked. "That's for you to decide, but I suggest starting slowly. Maybe he stays with one of you and the other visits daily at first, then expand to overnight stays." In the following days, they established a temporary routine. Ethan stayed at Jennifer's house in Boulder, which had more space, but Michael came every day. The house had the garden Jennifer had mentioned. Ethan explored every corner. "You kept the room," he observed, stepping into a space decorated. "For a child." "I always hoped you'd come back," Jennifer said emotionally, "but the things here are for a baby. We can redecorate. Choose things you like now." "Can I have a desk? Aunt Margaret taught me how to draw." "Of course, you can. What else do you enjoy doing?" Ethan talked about his hobbies, the things Margaret had taught him: cooking, drawing, taking care of plants. She liked plants? She had a garden in every house. She said plants don't judge, they just grow. Michael arrived with school supplies. "I thought about enrolling you in school here. What do you think? Will I get to stay? We won't move again? We won't move, I promise." Ethan hugged Michael, the first spontaneous hug since their reunion. The adjustment wasn't easy. Ethan had nightmares, calling out for Margaret. Sometimes he was afraid Michael and Jennifer would disappear. "What if you vanish too?" "We won't vanish, sweetheart," Jennifer assured him. "Aunt Margaret used to say that too." It was hard to argue against 5 years of constant change. 2 weeks later, Margaret sent a letter through her lawyer. Michael and Jennifer read it together. "Dear Michael and Jennifer, I know no apology will ever be enough. I took 5 years from you, 5 years from Ethan. I have no excuse, only the explanation of a mind broken by grief. When I lost my Matthew, I lost the will to live. The day I found Ethan at the playground, crying and calling for his father, I saw my own son. The mind plays cruel tricks when we're desperate. I cared for him with all the love I had. I know it wasn't my love to give, but it's what kept him safe. I taught him what I could, protected him as best I knew. But I always knew the truth would come out one day. Ethan is a special boy. Smart, kind, brave. You must be so proud. I know I have no right to ask for anything, but if you can, tell him I love him. That every day of the last 5 years, though born from a terrible mistake, was filled with genuine love. I'm receiving treatment now. I've accepted my guilt. If one day, when he's older, he wants to see me, I'll be here. If not, I'll understand. Forgive me if you can. Not for my sake, but so you can move forward without the weight of hatred. Margaret, Jennifer cried. Michael stayed silent. What do we do? She asked. I don't know. Part of me hates her, part of me understands. Me too. It's easier when villains are purely evil. She's not a villain, just a broken woman who did something terrible. J.S., do we show Ethan? When he's ready, maybe with the therapist's help. Ethan was in the garden planting seedlings Michael had brought. Aunt Margaret said planting is hope. You put a tiny seed in the ground and believe it'll grow. She was right, Michael said, helping him. Dad, do you think she's okay? The word Dad still sounded new, precious. She's getting help. Doctors are taking care of her. She must be scared. She was always afraid of hospitals. Why? Her son was in the hospital when he went to live with the angels. Michael and Jennifer exchanged a look. Margaret carried deep wounds. Ethan, would you like to write to her? It doesn't have to be now, but whenever you want. Can I? Of course. She was important in your life. We won't pretend she wasn't. Ethan thought. I'll draw for her. She likes my drawings. Life slowly found a new rhythm. Ethan started school, made friends. At first he was anxious, thinking he'd have to move again, but little by little he began to trust. Michael and Jennifer developed a functional co-parenting relationship. The old wounds were still there, but focusing on Ethan helped. He asked again if we'll get back together, Jennifer mentioned one day. What did you say? The truth? That we don't know. That right now we're focused on him. That's fair. Michael, have you thought about it? Trying again? Michael was surprised by the direct question. I have you? Every day, but I'm scared. What if it doesn't work this time? What if it does? They had no answer. The shared trauma had separated them, but it also connected them in a unique way. A month later, Ethan had a breakdown. He woke up screaming, looking for Margaret. She's gone like I was gone. Michael and Jennifer rushed to calm him down. It's okay, son. It was just a nightmare. No, she's alone. No one's taking care of her. Ethan, Aunt Margaret is being cared for. You don't understand, she has no one. Matthew died, I disappeared, she's all alone. The child's empathy was devastating. Even knowing the truth, he couldn't abandon the person who had cared for him. What do you want to do? Jennifer asked. Can I see her just once to know she's okay? Michael and Jennifer spoke with Dr. Rebecca. It might be beneficial, she suggested, for both of them. Closure, as they say. They arranged a supervised visit. Margaret was in the psychiatric hospital, but in an open ward, responding well to treatment. When she saw Ethan, she began to cry. My boy, are you okay? Hi, Auntie. I brought drawings for you. Ethan showed her the drawings. Houses, gardens, families. Margaret looked at each one carefully. They're beautiful. You've improved so much. My new teacher says I have talent. You always did. Remember when we drew the sunset at the beach? I remember. It was in Atlantic City. They talked about memories, carefully avoiding the elephant in the room, until Ethan asked, Why did you take me, Auntie? Margaret looked at Michael and Jennifer, who were watching from a distance. Because I was very sick, Ethan. Sick with grief. When I lost my son, I lost my mind too. I saw you and I thought I could have a second chance. But I had parents. I know, and it was so wrong, so very wrong. I stole you from them and stole them from you. Do you love me? With all my heart. But sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes love means letting go. Ethan hugged Margaret. I forgive you, Auntie, but you can't do that again. Never again, I promise. The visit was short but meaningful. On their way out, Margaret called to Michael and Jennifer. "Thank you for letting him come, for not poisoning him against me. He has a right to his own feelings," Jennifer said. "Take good care of him, he's special." "We always have, we always will," Michael replied. In the car, Ethan was thoughtful. "She seems better, less scared." "The doctors are helping her," Jennifer explained. "That's good. No one should live in fear all the time." At home, Ethan went to his room to draw. Michael and Jennifer stayed in the kitchen. "He's amazing," Jennifer said. "After everything, he still has compassion." "He gets that from you." "The stubbornness too?" "Especially the stubbornness," Michael smiled. It was the first light moment between them in years. "Jennifer, about what we talked about the other day. About trying again. Yeah, maybe we should take it slow, dinner sometimes. See how we feel." "I'd like that. But no pressure. If it doesn't work out, we're still Ethan's parents. That doesn't change. Deal." 3 months passed. Ethan had fully adjusted to school, made a best friend named Tyler, and even joined the soccer team. "Dad, can I sleep over at Tyler's on Friday?" Michael looked at Jennifer. It was the first time Ethan had asked to sleep away. "If his parents agree, they already said yes, please, then it's okay," Ethan celebrated. It was a milestone, trusting enough to spend a night away. Michael and Jennifer took the opportunity to have dinner together, without Ethan for the first time. "Strange, isn't it?" Jennifer remarked. "Having time just for us. Good strange or bad strange? Still deciding," she smiled. They talked about Ethan, about work, carefully avoiding the painful past, until Jennifer brought it up. "Sometimes I wonder what would have been if he hadn't disappeared." "Me too. Would we still be married?" "I like to think so, but we'll never know. Maybe it's better this way, starting fresh, no expectations." "I agree." The dinner went well. No promises, no pressure, just 2 parents sharing a meal. At home, they found Ethan already back in tears. "What happened?" They rushed to him. I got scared. What if you disappeared? What if when I came back you weren't here?" "Oh, sweetheart," Jennifer hugged him. "We're never going to disappear. Aunt Margaret used to say that too." "I know, but it's different now. You know where we live, you have our phone numbers, you know Grandma Sarah." I still got scared. Michael joined the hug. "It's okay to be scared. You've been through a lot, but we'll prove it to you day by day that we're here. Promise?" "Promise." That night, all 3 slept in the same bed, Ethan in the middle, holding both their hands. 3 more months passed. Ethan turned 9. The party was small, just family and new friends. Margaret sent a gift through the lawyer, a professional art kit. "Can I keep it?" Ethan asked. "Of course," Michael said. "It's your birthday." She remembered. She'll always remember. Ethan was more secure now, but still had tough moments. Therapy helped. "He's processing things well," Dr. Rebecca said, "but trauma like this takes time. Maybe years." "But will he be okay?" Jennifer asked anxiously. "I believe so. He has a strong support system, and he's resilient." Michael and Jennifer kept up their weekly dinners. Slowly, their friendship rekindled. Then something more. "I kissed your mum," Michael told Ethan one day. "You?" Ethan made a face but was smiling. "Does that mean you're getting married again?" "It means we're trying, taking it slow." "Cool." Tyler said his parents sleep in the same room. "Is that normal?" "It is, but every family is different." "Can we still be a family even if you live in separate houses?" "We're already a family, Ethan. Always will be." A year had passed since the reunion. Ethan was taller, more confident. The constant changes felt like a distant memory. Margaret had been transferred to a rehabilitation center, serving her sentence. She wrote to Ethan monthly, letters he kept in a box. "She says she's learning to grow orchids," Ethan shared, "that when she gets out she'll have a nursery." "That's good," Jennifer said sincerely. "She's finding a purpose. Can I visit her at Christmas?" Michael and Jennifer exchanged a look. It was the first time he'd asked in months. "If you want, we can arrange it. I want to take her a new drawing of our garden." The garden had grown just like Ethan. Every plant had a story, a new memory made. Michael officially moved back in, first to the guest room, then to the main bedroom. Their reconciliation felt natural, born of shared purpose and renewed love. "Are we really doing this?" Jennifer asked one night. "I think so." "Do you regret it?" "No, I feel like we're different people now, stronger. What doesn't kill us gives us an amazing kid and a second chance." The Christmas visit to Margaret was emotional. She was different, calmer, more centered. Treatment and accepting her guilt had brought her peace. "You're okay," Ethan observed. "I'm better, accepting what I did, working to be better." "Your garden is pretty," he pointed to the orchids. "Thank you. I care for them like I cared for you, but now without taking anyone away." At their goodbye, Margaret handed a letter to Michael and Jennifer. "Read it when you can. No rush." In the car, Ethan was calm. "She's okay. Different, but okay." "How do you feel?" Michael asked. "Relieved. I always worried about her being alone, but now she has her plants and the doctors. And you?" "I have you, and you have me. We're complete." At home, they read Margaret's letter. "Dear Michael and Jennifer, my sentence is nearing its end. Soon I'll be free, but I plan to continue treatment. I found peace in accepting my guilt and working to be better. I'm writing to say I won't seek contact. Ethan has a beautiful family and doesn't need me anymore. If he wants to see me when he's older, I'll be available. If not, I'll understand. Thank you for not painting me as a monster, for letting him keep the good memories, even if they came from something wrong. That says a lot about your character. Be happy. All three of you, that's all I wish for." "Margaret, it's the end," Jennifer said. "Or a new beginning," Michael suggested. Ethan came running in. "Mom, Dad, Tyler invited me for another sleepover. Can I go?" "Of course," they answered together, laughing. Life had found its rhythm, not the one they'd originally planned, but the one born from tragedy and resilience. 2 years later, on an ordinary afternoon, Ethan came home from school, excited. "We have to make a family tree. Can I include everyone?" "Everyone?" "Who?" Jennifer asked. "You, Grandma Sarah, Grandpa William, everyone." "Of course, sweetheart." Ethan worked on the project for hours. When he showed it, Michael and Jennifer saw he had included Margaret in one corner with a note. "Aunt who took care of me." "Is that okay?" he asked hesitantly. "Yes," Michael said. "It's your story. Tell it how you want." "She's part of it. Not in the right way, but she is." Ethan's maturity kept surprising them. Therapy had helped him process the complexity of his story. At the school presentation, Ethan spoke proudly. "My family is different. I was raised for 5 years by someone else. Then I came back to my real parents. It was hard, but everyone loved me in their own way. Now I'm where I belong." The teacher was moved. Other kids asked questions, which Ethan answered with age-appropriate honesty. At home, Jennifer cried. "He's so at peace with everything." "Takes after his parents," Michael joked. "We were a mess back then. But we learned together." Life went on. Ethan grew up, keeping his compassion and resilience. He became an artist, just as Margaret had predicted. At 18, he sought her out on his own. "Hi, Auntie," he said at the door of her greenhouse. "Ethan, you came. I came to thank you. For what you did right, not what you did wrong. For loving me when I needed it," Margaret cried. "You've become a good man. I had good examples, all of them." They kept in touch sporadically but meaningfully. Margaret never asked for more than Ethan offered. Michael and Jennifer renewed their vows on the 15th anniversary of their reunion. Ethan was the best man. "You taught me that family is more than blood," he said in his speech. "It's choice, forgiveness, unconditional love. Our family was broken and rebuilt stronger." At the party, Sarah remarked, "Who would have thought, huh, after everything?" "It was worth it," Michael said. "Every tear, every sleepless night." "He's special." "Yes, but we all are in our own way." Ethan danced with his girlfriend, laughing. The lost child had become a whole man. Years later, Ethan became a therapist specializing in family reunification. He used his story to help others. "Dr. Anderson," a patient asked, "how do you forgive the unforgivable?" "By understanding we're all human That pain makes good people make terrible choices, and that holding on to hate hurts the one who hates more. But what about justice? Justice isn't just punishment. Sometimes it's transformation, healing, a second chance. At home, he shared the case with his parents. It reminds me of us, Jennifer observed. Every broken family reminds me of us. That's why I help, because someone helped us. Michael hugged his son, now taller than him. Proud of you, son. Learned from the best, all of you. Margaret passed away at 75, surrounded by her orchids. Ethan attended the funeral, bringing his children. Who was she, Dad? Little Jacob asked. Someone who loved me the wrong way but loved me, who taught me about plants, art, and how good people can lose their way. And Grandma and Grandpa? They taught me about forgiveness, perseverance, and true love. At the cemetery, Ethan left a drawing on her grave. A child and a woman planting flowers. Below, to all the mothers I've had. With love, Ethan. Michael and Jennifer, now grandparents, watched from a distance. He overcame everything, Jennifer said. We overcame, Michael corrected. Together. Do you think Margaret found peace? Ethan says yes, and he would know. They returned home where the grandchildren waited, the house full of life, laughter, plants everywhere, Margaret's legacy that Ethan kept alive. Grandpa, will you teach me the song? Olivia asked. Michael smiled. The song of their great-grandmother, which had saved Ethan, now passed to a new generation. Of course, sweetheart, it goes like this. And the melody filled the house, just as it had filled a truck on a stormy night 30 years earlier, when a father unknowingly found the son he'd been searching for. Ethan walked in, listening. I still remember the first time I sang in the truck. I almost crashed, Michael laughed. That's when everything changed. No, Jennifer corrected. That's when everything went back to how it should be. After a long detour, Ethan added. The best paths are rarely straight, Michael mused. The grandchildren ran through the garden, Ethan's plants blooming, 3 generations bound by a story of loss and reunion. In Ethan's office, framed, was the first drawing he'd made after their reunion. A stick-figure family holding hands. Simple, crooked, perfect. Below it, in a child's handwriting, My Real Family. Beside it, added years later in an adult's script, Every family is real when there's love. The phone rang, another case, another broken family needing help. Dr. Anderson, I need help. My son was taken from me and... Take a deep breath, Ethan said calmly. Let's talk. There's always hope, because he knew. He had lived it. The end of the story. Dear listener, we've reached the end of this touching journey. If it moved you, leave a like and comment. Would you forgive like Ethan? Subscribe for more heartwarming stories.